Joining me now, I have retired United States Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris. General, it's always a pleasure to have you. Let me just start with sound for you this morning, because just yesterday, President Trump saying he would not rule out boots on the ground in Iran for this operation. Take a listen.
I don't want to say that either, but I would say no if I thought it was appropriate. I'd say sometimes you need a ground campaign, but we have other people that will do the ground campaign for us.
Yeah, General, do you think this is where this is all headed?
I would tell you, Mark, first of all, good morning. Like you just said, we are conducting strikes again. CENTCOM is conducting strikes again as we speak. I do not see us putting boots on the ground at this particular point, because as you know, or better yet for your orders to know, a couple of things are going on at the same time. Military strikes are happening, but at the same time, the Trump administration is putting economic pressure on Iran, and then also still with everything that's going on, we are still talking behind the scenes in the world of diplomacy. So I think here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a few more strikes that are going to happen, but I don't see us escalating to the points that we put boots on the ground.
And you don't think the window of opportunity for negotiation has closed? There is still the chance that we get back to this table and strike some sort of deal?
I wouldn't go all the way to say we're going to strike a deal, but I will say this. Both sides, the United States and Iran, both want to get back to the table. It's just right now the MOU that we have, it could have been a little bit tighter because both sides don't understand what they really signed. But I think what you're going to see happening here in the next few weeks is after all these strikes are over, both sides will get back to the table. Things will calm back down. But right now, the major issue is going to affect the world is the Strait of Hormuz and how it's being blocked by us and then also by Iran.
Yeah, and I know overnight the U.S. restarted that blockade of shipping traffic in and out of these Iranian ports. It was reinstated at 4 o'clock Eastern yesterday. Why did we wait till this week to do that, and what changed between, March and now?
Well, the reality of it is what I look at is this. The president has said that he wanted to try diplomacy. He tried to give Iran an opportunity to do the right thing, and then in his words, they didn't. So because of that, that's why CENTCOM is now doing the strikes again, hitting all of these coastal sites. But in addition to that, the president said he wanted to close it back down. He's the president of the United States. CENTCOM is going to act and make sure it's going to happen. And what we're going to see here in the next couple of days, will these actions actually bring everybody back to the table, or will we be doing this for two or three more weeks? But again, like I said earlier, I do not see us getting to the points that we put boots on the ground.
Yeah, and it sounds like the president of the United States has lost his patience this week. General, CENTCOM says this is the latest in a string of strikes hitting Iranian missile, drone, coastal defense sites. I mean, militarily, what does this round accomplish that previous rounds didn't?
It continues to degrade their ability to hit ships out in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. But again, Iran has been preparing for what we're doing right now for a long time. So these sites are very hardened. At the same time, Iran has a lot of sites. And what CENTCOM is doing is actually degrading them. But over time, what you will see that Iran will come to the table and say, uncle, and say, look, we got to get to a level of peace somewhere in this particular conflict.
Let me ask you about weapons, sir, because there's this new report out this morning from the Center for Strategic and International Studies that says the U.S. has used more than 850 Tomahawk missiles against Iran, but are only getting 15 new ones a month. It's a similar story for Patriot missiles, having used as many as 1,400 of those so far in Iran, with only getting 20 new ones per month. How big of a concern is that to you, that the United States could actually run out of weapons for this?
I don't see us running out of weapons, Marky, but I will tell you since the very beginning, since the very first night that we started dropping bombs at the rate that we were dropping, I was always concerned to say, hey, do we have enough in our arsenal to keep up this particular pace? What many leaders would tell you is all about kinetics, but really the people that actually know the war are our people that's working logistics. And right now, I think that our logistics side of the house is speaking to the senior leadership saying, hey, make sure that we don't get out over our skids and run out of our weapon system. So I think we're going to be okay. We just got to make sure that we stay focused and play the long game, because not only do we have a threat in Iran, but we still have threats all around the world.
Yeah, and we know the president is making a push for more weapons today on his trip to Pennsylvania. Retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris, you've been with me since night one of this, and I always appreciate your insights and your read on things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Joining me now, once again, I've got retired United States Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris for more. General, you and I have been talking all morning long. I find it interesting. The president just said yesterday that the objectives of the war have been completed already. If that's the case, then why continue to launch these sort of strikes? We've done 4 nights in a row.
Yeah, Mark, again, good to see you again this morning. What I would say to your question is this. The fight is still ongoing. Yes, some of the objectives may have been met, but from a political but also from a military point of view, we still got a long ways to go before we actually get there, because as the MOU has been signed, it's still a lot of confusion around who's actually in charge of the Strait of Hormuz.
And who is, do you think? I know that we reinstated our CENTCOM naval blockade yesterday, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Both sides are asserting dominance here. So who really has the upper hand in your eyes?
You know, at the end of the day, with both sides of standing, they actually control it. Really, nobody controls it at this point. And what I think we're going to see starting again here real soon, gas prices and other things starting to go up. So right now, what's currently going on, yes, strikes are happening. But like I mentioned earlier this morning, at the same time, the Trump administration is going to put economic pressure on Iran. And then behind the scenes, believe it or not, at the tactical level, negotiations are still going on because Iran and the United States both want to get back to the negotiating table as quickly as possible.
Let me play some sound for you, too, just from an interview that the president did yesterday in a sit-down, and he's still not ruling out the possibility of boots on the ground. Take a listen.
I don't want to say that either, but I would say no if I thought it was appropriate. I'd say sometimes you need a ground campaign, but we have other people that will do the ground campaign for us.
General, just your takeaway thoughts on his comments there, and do you think that this is where this has to head eventually at some point?
At this point, I tell you, Mark, at this point, I do not believe that we're going to put boots on the ground. I believe we're going to try our best to continue to do the strikes that we're doing, and at the same time put other pressures on Iran to make them come back to the table and actually agree to whatever we want them to agree to in the future. But the reality of it is, when we actually put boots on the ground, we have now accelerated this particular war, and I don't believe the American people or the president or anybody, our partners around the Middle East and throughout Europe, really want us to get into that type war.
You know, Xavier and I were just talking about just the weapons, being used in this war, what the president might ask for today in Pennsylvania. There are ongoing issues with missile stockpiles, specifically the Tomahawk, the Patriot missiles, with the United States only getting between 15 to 20 new ones a month. How long will it, one, is that a problem? And 2, how long will it realistically take for the U.S. to bring that stockpile back up to pre-war levels?
Yeah, you know, first of all, I'm happy to see that the president is going to be going to the war college. I'm a graduate of war college myself, so I'm excited that he would actually go there and then talk about a great need that we have. Right now, we have dropped a lot of bombs on Iran. And yes, our stockpile, is no secret, is not where we want it to be. And we also have to continue to think about all of the other adversaries that we have around the world. So I'm glad to see the president is talking about this and actually trying to put a plan together that we can actually build them a lot faster. But what I would tell you, Mark, is this. Talking about it and doing it is going to be 2 different things. And I would tell you, we're still several years out from getting our stockpile back up where it needs to be.
Retired United States Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris, thank you for your time this morning, sir, as always, and thank you for your service as well. We'll see you again here real soon.
Thank you.
Well, the renewed war moves. Joining me now, once again, I have retired United States Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris. General, welcome back. So you've got these strikes restarting this morning. It was the 4th night in a row. The White House restarted this blockade of shipping traffic in and out of Iranian ports in the Strait. Is it fair to classify the current state of the war as a stalemate, or what's your assessment?
Good morning, Marky. I would not say as a stalemate. I would say that we are in a continuous situation where we're going to be going back and forth between Iran and us in strikes. But I see this happening back for the next 2 to 3 weeks But at the same time, while all these things are happening with the military strikes, on top of that, the president and the Trump administration is looking to put economic pressure. But behind the scenes, we are still talking with the Iranians and trying to get back to the negotiating table.
And let me ask you about that and play some sound, because in an interview just yesterday, the president first stated that he doesn't want to negotiate with Iran any longer. You know, we heard him at NATO say negotiating with them is a waste of time. But then just minutes later, he said this.
I don't want to say that either, but I would say no if I thought it was appropriate. I'd say sometimes you need a ground campaign, but we have other people that will do the ground campaign for us.
Sorry, wrong sound there. Let me read what he said. Next week, it gets really bad for them. Next week comes power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out their bridges unless they get back to the table and negotiate. How does that kind of mixed messaging in the same interview complicate things for both the State Department, negotiators, and the Pentagon?
Well, I wouldn't say it's mixed messaging. At the end of the day, you have messaging that's coming from the strategic level, but then you also have messages actually happening at the tactical level. And currently what's happening right now at the tactical level, Iran and the United States are talking, still trying to figure things out, because the real key that's actually causing all these problems right now is the MOU was not clear on exactly what's supposed to be happening in the Strait of Hormuz. And until we actually get that figured out, you're going to continue to have these strikes. And at the end of the day, we need to get both sides back to the table, because we cannot afford for gas prices and everything else to continue to go up.
Yeah. What did you make of the quick change of heart from the president? You know, a couple days ago, he floated out the possibility of let's charge a 20% toll to all these cargo ships coming through the Strait. And within 24 hours, he reversed course on that. Why the change? And is that a good idea or bad idea?
I would say I think the president might have misspoke a little bit, because I know he's quite aware, just like the Secretary of State has already stated, that's international law. We don't charge anything to pass through international waters. We're not asking, we're trying to keep Iran from doing the same thing. So if we're asking them not to do it, we can't do it. So I think the president just got it in front of himself, and somebody talked to him behind closed doors, and then he came back out. Like he mentioned in earlier interviews, he talked to several of the countries around the Middle East, and they said, hey, Mr. President, please back off this, and I'm happy he actually did.
Let me ask you, too, about just the spending on this war, because the Trump administration is trying to get Republicans on board with another boost in defense spending because of this conflict. This one for an additional $350 billion. That would put defense spending for this year at just shy of $1.5 trillion, double what the budget was just 6 years ago. Why has defense spending doubled in such a short time? And what do you make of that ask?
Well, this is a very big ask. And as you know, we're right now in the middle of a war. I'm not sure if everybody want to call it that, but that's what we're actually doing. And then on top of that, we have actually dropped a lot of bombs. To replace those bombs, it's going to take a lot of money to build them. But on top of that, Iran has been successful in hitting some of our bases there in the Middle East. So they have to come back and replenish or actually rebuild those particular bases. So inside of this package, they're asking for additional money to take care of those things. But this is a very big ask, and I'm not 100% sure if Congress is going to sign off on all of it.
Yeah, there's also this new report from the Center of Strategic and International Studies that says the U.S. has used over 850 Tomahawk missiles against Iran, but we're only getting 15 new ones a month. Are you worried about running out of weapons? And also, what does that mean for our readiness against other adversaries, you know, a China or a North Korea who's watching this play out in real time as well?
I would tell you, I'm not worried about us running out of our reserves, but at the end of the day, we have got ourselves in a situation where we're at a critical point. And at the end of the day, yes, we're going to have to ramp up the replenishing of our weapon systems. I'll say it that way on this particular setting. But at the end of the day, I believe that the Pentagon and other leaders throughout our government will make sure that we have what we need, because not only are we fighting with Iran, but we have to keep our eyes on those other adversaries that you already mentioned earlier to ensure that we're prepared to fight on many different fronts.
Retired United States Army Brigadier General Shawn Harris, thank you, as always, for your time, sir. We'll check back in.
Thank you.
Well,